Hey everyone, my name is Vishwas and welcome to the second episode of Coding with AI. In this series, I'm going to show you how I use AI in my daily workflow to accelerate my coding process and boost productivity. Today, we're looking at one of Builder.io's internal tools. It is an AI assistant that works with Claude Sonnet 3.5 to help you with any queries you might have. Currently, it supports text content only. For example, 2 plus 2. We get back a text response. But with Claude 3 models, we can also send image content blocks. Our goal in this video is to use AI to accelerate this task of implementing new vision capabilities that allow our assistant to understand and analyze images. Definitely a more complex task than episode 1. We will be making use of Cursor. It is an IDE built from the ground up with AI integration in mind. It's essentially a fork of VS Code with powerful AI features baked in. Let's make a to-do list of what needs to be implemented. First, we need to add an image attach button within the text area. Second, we need to handle the image object in the specified format. You can see that each user message is currently an object with role set to user and content set to a string. But with the image content blocks, content is an array of objects. Each object corresponds to an image type with source properties or text type with the text prompt as a string. Third, we need to show a preview of the image and a close button to remove or delete the image. Fourth, we modify the current submit handler in the codebase to accommodate an image in addition to the text content. Fifth, we modify the server-side API that makes the actual request to Anthropic. Finally, we render the image as part of the response. Let me move this into a to-do list.md file. Let's start with step 1, which is to add an attach image button. Now, the text area component is present in the chat prompt form.tsx file. This text area component right here corresponds to the input we see in our assistant, this element. In Cursor, I'm going to press Command L to bring up the chat assistant. Let's enter our prompt. I need to add an attach image button within the text area. It should be placed to the left of the text area. On click of the button, the user should be able to attach an image. Let's copy the structure of the image content block. Back in the chat window, I'm going to say the attached image should be converted to this format and paste the format. I'm also going to copy the supported image formats. So just copy from the documentation and paste it. This will restrict AI from accepting images of the specified type only. Cursor will start generating the requested code. After code generation, it gives you a brief explanation of the updates. So it added a new image attachment type to represent the attached image in the required format, modified the on-prompt submit prop to accept an optional attachment, added state for image attachment using useState, implemented handle image attach function to convert the selected image to base 64, updated handle submit to include the image attachment, added an attach image button to the left of the text area, wrapped in a tooltip for better UX, which is amazing. Added a hidden file input that triggers when the attach button is clicked, displayed a message when an image is attached to provide feedback, and this looks amazing. I'm going to click on Apply, take a quick peek at the changes, and click on Accept. Now we do see a TypeScript error. Icon paperclip has been imported from our own components, but it has to be imported from tabular icons. So let's make that correction. Now, if we go back to our browser, to our assistant, we see that the attach image button is outside the text area. And that is purely because of my prompt. With AI, you get what you prompt. So let's change this. Back in our chat window, I'm going to type the attach image button should be placed inside the text area, but to the left. The button color can be white. I'm going to press enter. And again, in a few seconds, we have the updated code. I'm going to apply these changes. Make sure everything looks good. And accept the changes. Back in the browser, we can see the attach image button with a tooltip is now placed inside the text area. Clicking on the button will open Finder, and I'm going to blur this part of the UI. Once you select an image, we see the updated text at the very bottom, image attached, and the type is image/png. If we go back to our to-do list, we can see that add an image button within the text area has been implemented. In fact, the second step, handle the image upload in the specified format, has also been implemented. Let's move on to the third step, showing a preview of the image with a close button to remove it. I'm going to first remove this text at the bottom, this block right here. So in the chat window, I don't really need the image attachment code at the bottom. Instead, right above the text area, display a preview of the uploaded image. Also, provide an X button to the top left of the image, or place an X button to the top left of the image, and clicking on that button will remove the image. Or clicking on that button should remove the image. Let's press enter and wait for cursor to do its thing. So the code generation is happening. And we have a summary of all the changes. So removed the bottom image attachment display code, added a new state image preview to store the image preview URL, updated handle image attach to set both image attachment and image preview, added a new remove image function, added an image preview section above the text area, included an X button using icon X at the top left corner, which is perfect, and make sure to import the icon X component or create it if it doesn't exist. So everything looks good. I'm going to apply and take a look at the changes. We do seem to have some TypeScript errors, which we can address, so not an issue. I'm going to click on Accept. And the issue is, again, with the icons being imported from our file rather than tabular icons. So let me quickly fix that. All right, we have fixed all the errors. Let's save the file, head back to the browser. When I attach an image, you can see the preview is displayed right above the text area. Much better. Ideally, I would prefer if the preview was smaller, but that is always something we can come back to and fix. This image, in fact, is how Visual Copilot, our AI Figma to Code tool, is built. Let's click on Close, and we can see the image removal works fine as well. Let's upload one more image. And this is related to AI code generation from a blog post of mine. We can click on Close again, and the image has been removed. So if we go back to our to-do list, step 3, show a preview of the image, and the next button to remove it has been implemented. But we can make the preview smaller, which I'm going to make a note of. For step 4, we need to modify the current submit handler to accommodate an image in addition to the text. Now this is more to do with the logic than the actual UI. We have our form element with an onSubmit handler called handleSubmit. This in turn calls onPromptSubmit, passing in text prompt along with the new image attachment if it exists, undefined if there's no attachment. OnPromptSubmit is a prop that is passed into the chat prompt form component. Let's go to the file where this component is invoked. Chat.tsx. We can see onPromptSubmit is a function that is passed as a prop. So let's go to the function definition at the top. We see it's an async function that currently accepts one argument, which is the text prompt. It should now accept a second argument, which is the image attachment. Let's ask Cursor to implement that for us. In the chat window, onPromptSubmit should now handle the optional image attachment parameter. Let's export the image attachment type for it to be imported in chat.tsx. And let's also copy-paste the type information to add more context in the chat. I have attached the type for your reference. Once the image parameter has been added, we need to take care of the implementation. We see there is a user prompt to message function that needs to also accept the image in addition to the text prompt. Let's specify in the chat, user prompt to message should accept the image attachment as the second argument. The user message is then forwarded to the API layer, so that is all the change we need in this function. Let's go ahead and press enter. The code gets generated for our review. I'm going to quickly have a look to make sure it meets our requirement. The changes in chat.tsx seem good to me, so I'm going to apply the changes. We see the new image attachment parameter. The import seems to be missing, but that is okay. The if condition has been improved to make sure there is a check against both text prompt and image attachment, and the image attachment is then passed as second argument to prompt to user message function. Looks good, so let's accept the change. First, let's add the import statement for the image attachment type. Next, let's update the types for user prompt to message function. Currently, user message is an object where content is just the string content, and we return that message object from the function. This reflects the first type of message we can send to Claude where content is just a string. But now, content is an array of objects where the object is an image object or a text object. If we take a look at the suggested changes in the chat window, we can see that if there is an image attachment, we overwrite content to be an array with text and image objects. This, once again, looks good, so let's accept the change. We do have a type error. Let's inspect what the user message type is. It has role set to user, which is fine, but content is just a string. It needs to be updated to account for the new change. Let's start by defining the new types. First, we will define the type of the text content, where type is text and text is a string. Next, with AI's help, we define the image content type, which seems to be incorrect. I'll go back to our image attachment type and copy that over as the Claude image content type. We can then define a new type called Claude message content, which is a union of the two. Let's get rid of the duplicate type and use Claude image content everywhere. First in chat prompt form.tsx, next in chat.tsx, and finally chat helper.ts. Looks like I've missed something in chat prompt form, so image attachment replaced by Claude image content. And then in chat helper, let's remove the unused import. Next, let's update user message to accommodate this new type. We still have an error because we removed content from being just a string as well. So let's address that. Okay, but we still seem to have an error. Let's debug it with AI. It seems to be exactly what we have, but I think I see what's missing. So Claude message content needs to be an array. So let's make the change and revert the new type addition at the bottom of the file. All right, TypeScript is now happy. The function basically converts the user prompt into an object format that Claude API accepts. It needs role user with content set to a string or an array of objects with image and text types. Perfect. If we go back to our to-do list, we can consider step 4 as done. For step 5, we need to modify the server-side API that makes a request to Anthropic. And we have the post user message function. This is defined in client API.ts. We have the message object, which is converted into an array of messages. They are part of the params object passed as request body to /API/threads/messages. Control F on this string, and we see it is defined in routes.ts. The handler is API threads messages. This calls a function called createThreadsMessage, passing in the request. We are interested in message params.messages array, so let's browse this code to understand what needs to be changed. We are definitely using Claude. We are using Sonnet. And we have found where our messages array is being used. We are mapping over each message in the array, and we seem to be expanding any URLs in the text. Yep, seems to be exactly that. Claude cannot browse URLs, so we need to crawl the content ourselves and include it as part of the message that is sent to Claude, and this function takes care of that. But of course, content is not just a string anymore. It can also be an array of objects of type image or text. We need to update this map function to support the new types. Let's copy all the new types and open cursor chat with Command L. Time for a detailed prompt. We need to update the map method on line 99. The current code assumes content is a string, but that is not the case anymore. Here are the updated types, and we paste the types. Let's change it to attached are the updated types. And now I'm just going to think aloud for the benefit of AI. So content can be a string like before, or it can also be an array. The array can be an array of just type Claude text content, or a combination of Claude text content and Claude image content. I'm also going to specify for string type and for Claude text content objects text, use the expand URLs in text function. Don't use it on images. All right, I'm going to press enter. Let's accept the suggestion and go through the code. It's trying to be more specific with the type, but I'm just going to go with any which was present previously. So we are now checking if the content is an array. If it is, for each object that is of type text, we expand URLs in item.text. Otherwise, we return the item as is. That would be the case for image type. And if the content is not an array, that is, it is a string, we expand URLs once again. The expanded content is assigned to the content property that is sent to Anthropic. This should complete step 5. API changes are done. Let's test this part. I'm going to upload an image, and for the text, I'm going to provide, please analyze the image for me. All right, looks like we have hit an error. I would honestly be surprised if it worked on the first go. Let's figure out what's wrong. Invalid prop children of type array supplied to React Markdown, expected string. And this is in chat message.tsx. Let's open this file as it is clearly related to the change we made going from string to array for content. Okay, so we have the chat message component, and this is accepting a message prop. I'm trying to see. Okay, we have memoized React Markdown, which we saw in the console. And here we seem to have components for paragraph, anchor, code, and so on. Now let's add one for image, and I'm going to rely on just the autocomplete for this. Let's add some basic styling to the image. We can remove some unnecessary destructuring as well. We also need to fix content in this line, as content is an array and not just string anymore. We should render image as well as the text. Let's see if AI can get it right. On line 29, message as assistant text message.content. Here content is no more a string. It is a string or an array of type Claude message content. Can you update the code to render content only if it is a string? Otherwise, render the image present in the array along with the text. Okay, let's take a look at the code generation. Now, I am not too convinced by this, so I'm going to pause the recording and come back with a better understanding of the error. Okay, I'm back with some code changes behind the scenes. Now I have defined a new render assistant message function which accepts content of type string or Claude message content array. If content type is string, we return the content as it is like before. If it is an array, however, we map over the array and render either the text if the object is of type text and render image if object is of type image. This should account for the changes we have made. Let's save the file and give it another go. Attach an image and the prompt, please analyze this image for me. And we are still facing an issue. This is happening in client API.ts. That is different. So this seems to be happening at the API level. Let's inspect the file. This is the endpoint, yes. Let's see how our message is being created. Additional messages. But hang on. This is OpenAI, not Anthropic. It looks like Cursor updated the map method for OpenAI and not Claude. I don't know how I didn't notice this earlier. But anyway, let's ask AI to fix its mistake. It looks like the changes done in create-message.ts have been made at the wrong place. The changes to additional_messages property are not for OpenAI, but for Claude. Update the messages property on line 96 instead of the current changes. Although I don't trust line numbers anymore as it didn't work earlier. Okay, this time I can clearly see it is for Anthropic. Let's apply and accept. No type errors, so all looks good. Let's go back to the browser and try again. Attach image and the text. Please analyze the provided image. And we have our response. The image appears to be a representation of a workflow, points out Figma, mitosis, LLM, Builder, and more. I think the vision integration is actually working. Let's try another image to make sure. Attach, prompt, and we have our response. Image illustrates process diagram for code generation, and at a glance, it seems to be describing it pretty well. We can safely say our assistant now supports images as part of the input. I can say the MVP for this feature is complete. Let's open our to-do list and mark the last step as done. This feature would take me at least a day or even 2 days to build it without AI. To be able to finish it in 1 hour feels amazing. Keep in mind, this is not an example project or throwaway code. This is a real app we use internally every day at Builder. Hopefully, you're able to see how AI can just make you so much more productive. It is not here to take your job, but to help you level up. This video also hopefully gives you an idea of how I approach implementing a feature and debugging it, and how I work with AI. I am, of course, familiar with the code base, and it might have been a little difficult for you to keep up, but that is completely fine. I just wanted to show you how you can leverage AI in your daily development workflow. Let me know in the comment section if you're enjoying this Coding with AI series, and in case you missed it, make sure to watch episode 1. Thank you for watching. Please make sure to subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you in the next video.